On Monday night, the Detroit Lions will be welcoming the Seattle Seahawks back to Ford Field. And while the Seahawks are 3-0, don't let that record mislead you. The Lions are going to have a lesson in store for them when they return. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it.
What are we? What makes us what we are? And what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions fans, and welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. My friends, I'm going to tell you this right now. This game that we got coming up on Monday night, it is a very crucial game. It's a very big game. And obviously, I've already kind of talked about that a little bit. But when you've got an undefeated team that is coming to your place, it's a primetime game. You're going to be wearing new uniforms for the very first time. There's a lot of stuff in the air that's going to be really, really special about this game. There's all the history that goes into it. There's all of the emotion. There's a whole bunch of stuff that is, literally going into this game other than just the X's and the O's. Now, we all know, like I said, the Seattle Seahawks are coming into this game. They are 3-0. And I know for some people, they're instantaneously going to see that record, and they're going to instantly think, oh, well, the Seattle Seahawks, they're a really good team because they're 3-0. Well, that right there is where we're going to start talking about this, because I believe very strongly that that record is quite a bit misleading. And I'm going to tell you why. Let's understand something here. Who have been the Seahawks' first three opponents this year? The answer to that question is the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Dolphins. Now, how much did they win those games by? Because that's going to factor into this conversation. They beat the Broncos 26-20. They beat the Patriots in overtime 23-20. And they absolutely massacred the Dolphins 24-3. Okay. Putting all that information together, let's just call it what it is. The Seahawks could not have been gifted a more easy opening 3 weeks to their schedule than you could have possibly imagined. Here's the reason why. First and foremost, let's take a look at who they were playing at the quarterback position for each of those teams. For the Broncos, they were playing against Bo Nix, a rookie quarterback. Okay. Against the Patriots, they were playing against Jacoby Brissett, a journeyman quarterback. And then for the Dolphins, they weren't playing against Tua Tagovailoa. They were playing against Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle, bum quarterbacks. Okay. Let me just say this. Every single team that the Seahawks have played so far has had, at best, an average quarterback, and that's the Patriots with Jacoby Brissett, or at the complete worst, the opposite end, what I would call wastes of space in Thompson and Boyle. I mean, that's literally the landscape of what we're talking about as far as quarterback competition that the Seahawks have had to face on defense. And then if you further go down that rabbit hole, the teams themselves that the Seahawks have faced on offense, outside of the Dolphins, are pretty much either really bad overall or they're rebuilding. Because the Dolphins' offense is in pretty good shape as far as talent is concerned. But without a quarterback to lead said offense, it's pretty much dead in the water. That's a funny way to say that considering it's an aquatic named team. But anyway. But the point of the matter is, think about this. Despite each of the extreme advantages that the Seahawks defense has had at, facing quarterbacks so far, the Seahawks have literally only had one convincing win. And that was against the Dolphins, playing against Thompson and Boyle. Every single other game they've played, pretty much it either had to go to overtime against the Patriots, which was a team that was considered one of the worst going into this year, and the Broncos, which again, they've been rebuilding now for quite a while. Okay, that's a huge piece of information and a huge block that we're going to use to build into this conversation here. Because let's further go down that rabbit hole, especially when we're talking about the quarterbacks that they've played. I'm going to put up on the screen the statistics of each of the quarterbacks they faced. What you're going to notice right off the bat is, one, virtually every single quarterback they faced was absolutely inaccurate as hell. Number two, not a single quarterback they faced threw over 150 yards. And, oh, that's right, the passer rating for the quarterbacks are all extremely low. We're talking less than 85. And then when you take a look at the collective stats, it's just absolutely embarrassing. That is how bad these quarterbacks have been playing. Now, I know some Seahawks fan or some Lions fan is going to say, well, David, is it just possible that the defense is playing that good? Okay, here. If you have to ask that question when you're talking about a rookie quarterback, a journeyman quarterback, and the two bums of Thompson and Boyle, that already is a problem. Those guys altogether are just not very good quarterbacks. Brissett is the best out of the bunch, and again, he didn't even play that well. So when Brissett is literally the best quarterback that the Seahawks defense has faced, and the best offense overall you faced was led by bum quarterbacks, scrub quarterbacks, then you're beginning to understand why I like our offense going into this game. Now, I know, talking about this to Lions fans, there is still the hesitancy, there is still this, reserved element about, okay, is our offense actually going to finally, bust out, break out for this year? And again, let's go back first and foremost to the game last week. And let's think about that while we talk about our quarterback, Jared Goff. Jared Goff is a night and day considerably better quarterback than every single one that the Seahawks have faced this year. He literally spanks all the other four quarterbacks. It's not even a contest. And then, on top of that, Jared Goff also has probably the best offensive complement of talent out of all of the teams and quarterbacks that the Seahawks have faced this year. So, okay, when you just think about it from that perspective, the Seahawks are going to have a very Goliath-like challenge when they're going to be playing against our defense, or playing against our offense, pardon me. That's a considerable amount of difference from what they've already faced this year. Now, like I said, I know that people are going to say, well, David, what about the fact that the Lions offense hasn't looked so good this year and all this other nonsense, all this other happy crap? Well, let's understand something here. Again, go back to the Cardinals game. In the very first half alone, I talked about this yesterday, the Lions offense was absolutely on a roll. They were 5 for 6 on third down, 2 out of 2 in the red zone, only had one punt. That's damn good offense. And again, like I said, Jared Goff was literally perfect in the first half. So that right there is already something to think about. But when you take a look at Jared Goff's overall production in the freaking Cardinals game alone, Jared Goff in the Cardinals game was 18 of 23 for 78.3%, 199 yards, 8.7 an average a throw, 2 touchdowns to 1 interception with 113.6 passer rating. That right there is not even in the same ballpark compared to any of the quarterbacks that the Seahawks have faced. He literally blows them all out of the water. And then, I don't think that this is going to be something that's going to necessarily be as well received in comparison, but let's also consider just how damn prolific Goff has been against the Seahawks in the past. In the last 2 outings that Goff has played against the Seahawks, Goff has gone 54 of 74 for 72.9%, 701 yards, 9.5 an average a throw for 7 touchdowns to 2 interceptions with 122.6 passer rating. Okay, so in the very last game that we played, Goff made a massive, improvement compared to where we were the last 2 games, and I think that's because we're finally getting our mojo back. But also, Goff over the last 2 years that he's played the Seahawks has absolutely just been almost surgical. So that right there, what I'm trying to get at is this. The Seahawks defense is in for a massive difference in not only terms of quarterback play and talent, but combined offensive play and talent. And that leads me into the next point really quickly. Not only is this going to be the first time this year that the Seahawks defense has really been tested through the air with a quarterback, it's also going to be the first time they're going to be really tested on the ground as well. Again, let's take a look at the opponents that they've played, which was the Broncos, Patriots, and Dolphins, and take a look at their lead rushers. Again, much like I did with the passers, I'm going to put those stats up on the screen to give you guys an idea of what you're dealing with here. Again, what you're going to notice is not a single rusher gets over 100 yards. The Patriots guy, Antonio Gibson, gets pretty damn close. He also has the best rushing average out of the bunch. But outside of that, it's very, very poor, like really poor rushing performance. When the Broncos' lead rusher is your quarterback and you've only put out 35 yards, let that tell you something. And again, the Dolphins' lead rusher, only 30 on 11 rushes? Okay, again, let that tell you something. And again, apart from the Patriots, like I said, the Seahawks have not really been tested on the ground this year. Because if you go back to said Patriots game, the Patriots finished that game on offense with 36 rushes for 185 yards. That's 5.1 an average, and they had a rushing touchdown. Okay, keep that in mind, because that's going to be important for another fact I got coming up here. But I can personally guarantee you this. Our offense, our Lions, is going to do a lot better than that when it comes to running the ball. Because first and foremost, let me remind everybody, though I don't really need to remind Lions fans, but let me remind everybody just how damn good David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are. Take a look at David Montgomery and Gibbs, stats so far this year together combined. Gibbs has rushed the ball 51 times for 231 yards, 4.5 an average, has 3 rushing touchdowns. Gibbs, on the other hand, has 40 rushes for 207 yards, 5.2 an average a rush, and a rushing touchdown. That's damn impressive from 2 running backs. That is ridiculously hard to do when you are talking about the dual back system that the Lions have. And that, again, speaks to just how damn great of a running back duo that the Lions have in Gibbs and Montgomery. It's the best one in the NFL by far, but it's also a perfect complement for each other. Monty is more of the power back. He is more of the guy that, hey, you hand him the ball, he's going to pick up about 4 or 5 yards a carry. Gibbs is the guy, he's lightning in a bottle. He's going to be the guy that will most likely break you these freaking 15, 18, 20-yard, plays every now and then. So, okay, that again is a huge difference than anything the freaking Seahawks have faced this year. They have not really faced a top-notch running back or running back duo like the Lions. And then, to add further insult to injury, then there's our offensive line. Now, I know Seahawks fans that may watch this and Lions fans are going to be like, well, David, there's that whole situation now with Frank Ragnow. Let me rest assured here, even if Frank Ragnow can't play, Graham Glasgow will slide right in. He'll be fine at center. Now, who we get at guard, that might be a potential problem. But let's understand something here. The Lions in past years have had to reshuffle their offensive line multiple times, and they've made it work very well despite injuries. I'm not too very worried about it. But let's think about this. If you go to PFF, the Lions so far for this year have the 4th best run blocking grade in the entirety of the NFL. They have a 74.7. That's pretty damn good. Now, what about the other teams that the Seahawks have faced? Well, you have the Dolphins, who are actually ranked third in run blocking, so they're right above the Lions at 76.5. So everyone's going to be like, well, then wait a minute, David. Doesn't that kind of defeat your point? No, it doesn't. Because let me tell you why it doesn't. Your run blocking doesn't mean for crap if you don't have a quarterback that the defense is going to respect as a viable threat. Ain't nobody respecting Skylar Thompson or Tim Boyle as a legitimate passing threat, which means this. You can be a little bit more lackadaisical in your pass coverage and focus more on the run game rather. So again, that that run blocking grade, while it's great and all, doesn't mean diddly poo in this conversation because of the quarterback that was playing behind said offensive line. Then you get to the Patriots. Their offensive line is 27th in run blocking with a 56.2. Again, like I said, 185 yards, 5.1 an average a rush. That was done behind almost one of the worst run blocking offensive lines in the NFL. And then you have the Broncos, who literally do have the worst run blocking offensive line. It's ranked 32nd with a 45.1. So again, not only to just add all this up, have the Seahawks defense not played against a good quarterback, they have not faced any good running backs, but they also, realistically, have not had to deal with a great offensive line that has all those components added on top of it. And the one offensive line that was really bad, that offensive line almost put up 200 rushing yards on them. And then there's this last little point here. What about the Seahawks' ability to stop the run? How well are they actually able to beat run blocks? Because that's a pretty big important thing here, because somebody could say, well, David, again, maybe it's just the Seahawks have a really good run defense and their guys are able to get off running blocks. Nope. Go to ESPN Analytics. The Seahawks have the 18th best ability to beat run blocks in the NFL. They beat run blocks, according to ESPN Analytics, 31% of the time. So again, compile all this information together. You're talking about a defense that, while it's 3-0, has not gone against a top-notch offense altogether, has not gone against a top quarterback, has not faced a top running back or even two top running backs. And again, you've also got to factor in, they're coming to our home turf on a primetime game. And like I said, there's all the history that goes into this. Needless to say, there's going to be no lack of motivation for this game. And like I said with my thumbnail image, I fully expect that the Lions have got a pretty nasty lesson in store for the Seattle Seahawks. I'm still going to say this. Don't take the Seahawks lightly because they still have the ability to surprise people. But when you factor in all the information that I have put together, you can't deny it looks pretty damn good for the Lions offense. Just saying. But anyway, I believe I've done a pretty good job of explaining and providing the evidence, so I'm going to end my episode and say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you've subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage y'all, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. I also want to encourage y'all, please make sure you also share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it absolutely anywhere and everywhere you possibly can. Because the more we can share it, the greater the channel can grow and spread, and we can bring in new viewership. And with that being said, whether you've been a long-time viewer or this is your first time viewing me, I hope you all enjoyed the content. And I also hope that everybody is having a great day. They've got something in their lives that makes them happy, makes them smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.